Morning guys, hope you're all well. I just wanted to do a little bit of a video this morning on hexes and psychic protection and are they a curse or are they actually a hindrance? And the reason I wanted to do a little bit of a video on this, I've recently, as a lot of you know, I've been writing my spell book, which is going to be published in the coming weeks, which is called Timeless Magic, the Basic Book of Spells. And people have actually been messaging me, asking me about hexes and, is it okay to do and how would you go about doing it and everything else. So I thought I'd do a little bit of a video around all of this sort of subject combined, really. So when we're subjected to a hex or a psychic attack, what this means is that someone's choosing to actually send us harmful or hurtful energy. So someone's actually deliberately going out of their way to send this to you, basically. Now, like with all of us in life, we go through good and bad, we go through ups and downs, but there's always a lesson and there's always learning. And sometimes that lesson isn't clear, straight away. Sometimes it's not clear in a few days. Sometimes it's not clear in a month or even a year. But as and when it's meant to, it will become clear. Okay, and what I'm sort of saying is a hex is not acceptable. Okay, to me, I feel it's and this is my own personal opinion, everyone is entitled to their own, and I have beautiful friends all over the place that are witches, and some of these people, they do hexes regularly, others don't, and that's up to them what they decide to do. And I can't stop somebody from doing a hex, but I can certainly advise people not only on why I think it's wrong, but the deeper reasons as to this, But really when we're choosing to do a hex, and I've had people say to me, oh, I've had a really bad few months, I've had an ex-boyfriend or an ex-partner or whoever who's been making my life a misery, can I place a spell on them? Yes, you could, but you have to think of the long-term implications and not just the short-term. And in the short term, when we do a hex for somebody, yes, it might cause them temporarily pain or blockages or feelings of hurt, and it might stop them in their tracks. But you also incur a karma debt. Now, not everyone believes in karma. Not everyone believes in the power of 3, which is what we send out, we get back threefold. And that's fine. Whether you believe in it or not, the actions around you speak volumes, and they tend to speak more so than anything else. An example I'm going to use for this, those lovely witch friends I've got in my life that do hexes, often they're in a lot more of a negative, darker space, and they're not always on a low vibration, but they're just around a lot more negativity than, say, my other witch friends that don't hex. Okay, so whether you believe in karma, whether you believe in the power of 3, it kind of speaks for itself, and as with anything, whether it's magical or non-magical, if you do something bad in this world, usually you will have to pay the price in some form, and that's the same with a hex. So if you're going out of your way to choose to send somebody spiteful energy, you will actually get that back in some form. Okay, it's a given, it's going to happen, And if somebody has hurt you that badly or upset you that badly, it shows that they have an inability to love, okay? And that is really what you should be sending that person, however hard it is. It doesn't mean you forgive them, and it doesn't mean that you can excuse their behaviour, but send them love. Don't send them a hex, because what's happening is you're choosing to fight fire with fire. And, I've been subjected to hexes myself in the most really sly way, actually. And I talk about this in my book that I've got coming out. But I'll talk a little bit about it now, actually. So I was subjected to a hex. It must have been about 3 or 4 months ago now, probably even 5, actually. What was happening, as a lot of you know, we've got a rescue dog, Oscar, who's a very damaged boy. And we've been trying desperately to give him some quality of life back. And we've been doing that, and we've finally become successful to a point with this now, And we had no options but to set up a Just Giving page, as well as some demos that I did, which the money went to charity for Oscar. I had to set up a Just Giving page to get the other, the other money that I needed, because it was so much money. It was like thousands, it wasn't a couple of hundred. It was thousands. And when you work as a medium, you get less than minimum wage. I really struggle to even break on minimum wage, So that's what we had to do, and it was out of our hands, really. And for reasons I don't think I'll ever understand, this so-called White Witch in Wells over the bridge decided that, she took offence to the fact that I set up a Just Giving page for Oscar when I wanted to give my boy the best opportunity of living, because from every avenue people wanted to put him down. The vets were saying to us, put him to sleep. But when you can see that glimmer of light, you have to keep going. So for whatever reason, this White Witch took a bit of a dislike or an offence to that, and she placed a hex upon myself, and she also placed a hex on Oscar. And, when you do something like that, you have no idea of what damage is going to be caused. You have no idea, when you send a hex in that way, how the hex will work, what shape or form it will take, because you can't control that. Anyway, what resulted, I didn't find out about this till quite a few months later, and what had been happening, Oscar would be attacking me, just making it unbearable to live, basically, and then for me to try and still run my business around this and have clients coming into my home and into my space. It was the most trickiest of times ever, really. It was affecting my relationship. There was a stage where we were fighting night and day, and it nearly broke us a few times, And then it became clear, basically, through another person who'd she'd done this to, what had happened, and I realised that, we'd both been subjected to this hex, and I'm very blessed to have some real, true, beautiful friends of who are witches, and I sort of asked a couple of people, and they were able to remove this hex for me. I did my own spell, but I felt because it had been such a powerful spell, so much hurt and real nastiness, I wanted to call on outside influences to make sure that this was lifted and it was broken. Okay, and that's the thing. I don't believe there isn't any sort of spell that can't be broken. It's just finding the right way to break it, basically. And as soon as the spell was broken, the love that Oscar had always shown to me before was back. He was like a different dog. His fangs weren't coming out at me. He wasn't trying to sort of bite me and attack me. And literally the house felt, it was like waves of unconditional love had come over the place, So I knew the spell had been broken. But I sort of feel what was to gain from that, because I'd be honest with you, it was, about 90% getting to the stage where Oscar was going to get put down as a result of the spell, and the behaviour he was showing through the spell. And you sort of think, we're trying everything to give that animal the quality of life it deserves, and someone else is almost trying to rob it from us. And, they say often in magic and in our everyday world, people hurt us through the ones we love the most. And that was certainly true through that experience. But from that experience, I didn't retaliate with sending a hex back, which I know a lot of witches would have done, because there is no point. That person obviously has an inability to love. So I just sent that person love and healing, and I sort of cut them out of my life, And from doing that, and from, since everything's happened since, my energy vibration has raised up. So that is the thing, when you don't retaliate with magic in a negative way, your own vibration through the learnings of that becomes stronger. And this is really my message, and when we choose to send a hex, as I've said before, and as I said earlier, those people may feel short term, I've punished that person, I've done, I've sorted them out. You might have done briefly, but all you've actually done is put yourself in a bubble of negative energy, and you're keeping yourself in a place that you might not want to be in. And then those are the same people that sort of say, things aren't going too well at the moment, I'm having a run of bad luck. You notice over time there's a pattern, So if your natural response is to send somebody a hex, just think, actually, what's to be gained from this long term? Am I doing more damage to myself? Because it will come back in some form. And I'm a massive believer in karma. And in another different situation, I've literally in the last few days seen karma kick someone's ass in the most spectacular way. And it's not just in a little bit of their world. This person's world is unraveling fast, and it's almost like every skeleton that was in the closet is being unearthed. And I think there's a lot more that's going to happen with this particular person. And this is the thing, isn't it? When you do something like this, sooner or later, it could take years, months, whenever down the line, it will come back out and it will catch up with you, because it's a debt that's got to be paid ultimately. And it's the same as psychic attacks. If someone's choosing to send you a hurtful energy that's actually trying to block your energy, what's the point? So in my book, there's nothing about sending these out. It's all about how to protect yourself and break these sort of curses, and these cycles of energy. And some people have said to me, what should I be looking out for if I have been placed under a hex or a psychic attack? And they're very similar, really. So if you feel like you may be subjected to any of this, the first thing that you will experience, or the main thing, is power loss. You'll feel extremely tired, You'll feel like you've got no energy. You might experience severe headaches, migraines, but these may be out of character. You may not normally get these. You may feel very run down. You may feel, just very weak and physically like you can't really give much to the world. You may feel emotionally drained and burnt out and in a very negative, low space. You may feel, if you work with colleagues or people or family members, that you're snapping at people, but there's actually no reason. And if you feel that, you need to check your own behaviour and thinking, is this normal? Or actually, is this something deeper? And sometimes it's very hard to know if we've been psychically attacked, but there are usually these warning signs, And then in my book that's coming out, there's ways to actually break this, but also protect yourself moving forward, So it's just a little video that I wanted to share with you and do with you, because I don't know, it's like people keep on about it to me about hexing, and there's all these up and coming witches, and they're lovely, don't get me wrong, but some of them I don't think are perfecting their craft. They're just thinking, I'm a witch now, I'm going to start hexing everyone that I know who upsets me, and that's a misuse of magic. And and I say this a lot in the book, it's about, what way is your moral compass actually facing? And I actually nearly called this book Magic with a Moral Compass, but I thought, no, that's a bit harsh. So I didn't. I called it Timeless Magic, the basic book of spells. And the reason I've called it Timeless Magic is because these are spells that have been passed down from generations, and they're basic but simple, but they do the job, and that's what it's about, isn't it, really? Witchcraft doesn't need to be complicated. It can be as easy or as, manic as you want to make it, really. So it's just a little video about, hexes and psychic attacks and things of that nature. And if you're in that space where you feel you want to retaliate with somebody in that way, just don't, because I'll be honest with you, I've been subjected to quite a few psychic attacks particularly, and they're not nice, And imagine when you've been on a night out drinking too much and you feel hungover and drunk the next day and you just feel like the room is spinning. That's usually one of the first things you'll experience. Just really, really rough sort of feeling, it's not nice, and it takes about a week or two from once it's broken to really get it out of your system, but it leaves you feeling completely burnt out. So it's pointless. In my opinion, it's pointless, But I wanted to share this little thing with you because I just feel, because I keep hearing about people hexing everyone under the sun and everything else. And what goes around will come around, Don't misuse your own power. So that's my message. Take care, guys. Have a magical week, and I'll see you all soon. Much love for now. Bye.